Hello, everyone. I'm back. Not as creepy as it always is. Welcome back, everybody. Well, welcome back for me, really. But at the end of the day, if you're coming back, welcome back. If this is your first time, let us know where you're coming from. Hello, Florida. I saw you quickly there. I hope the weather's nice down there. I know it's been a little hectic with hurricane season was wild, I feel like, this year. We definitely had some wild weather came through yesterday here in Toronto. I'm back, everyone. I'm so excited. I was saying to my now husband, I'm like, I actually get to go back on the webinar. Super excited to have everyone in. I'm going to give you guys 2 or 3 minutes. Aloha, Hawaii. I'm so sorry. I almost got that totally backwards. I was going to say something else, but oh well. It's only Thursday, guys. Hope everyone's well. I see. Hello, Carmen. Welcome back. Thank you. Super excited to be here. Hello, Mississauga. I saw lots of Ontario, Toronto coming through. Saw lots of Florida, Jersey City. Hello there. Hope everyone is well, safe. I know things have just been a little wild all around. I won't lie. Just it doesn't matter where you are right now. Life is just upside down and backwards. So I hope everyone's doing okay. Bit of a different setup today with our webinar. Not totally different, but a little bit different. I'll run through those things, the housekeeping things in just a minute. But as a reminder, always don't forget, we do record everything. We will be doing certificates, but that part will be a little bit different here today. So just to keep that in your mind here, but we'll go through that in a minute or two. Just let you guys settle on in another minute more. Hello, Andy. Thank you. I have to say I had a beautiful wedding. I had a fantastic day. Married the man of my life. It's almost 2 weeks and he's still alive. 7 years together. He's still alive. Hello, Texas. Exciting. I'm very excited for today's webinar. Not just because of the topic that we're talking about. Super excited for him to be here with me today. Now, Ms. Carmen is not here at the moment, but she may pop in a little while. She's just doing some relocating. So she may get on, she may not. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jocelyn. I see you there. Thank you, everybody there, for all the best wishes. Let's dive in. As we settle in, please don't be shy with questions as they come up. Please don't be shy if you find that if this is freezing or anything like that, just refresh. Hello, Toronto, I see you there. As always, guys, disclaimer, never has been, never will be. And if you've been with any of my webinars in the past, you know that I am definitely not a legal advisor, and nor do I ever plan to be. That's just way too much for me. At the end of the day, though, we hope that you guys take away ideas, inspiration, things that you can actually implement at the center, whether you're here in Canada, whether you're down in the States, and whether you're from abroad, because here we go, Charlie, there's from South Africa. I know everyone from all around is joining us. So just remember that we are not legal, financial advice in any of those areas whatsoever. Okay, so don't be shy. And remember that those are the big things. Before we get into everything, I want to bring on my colleague, Michael. Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Ria.
Excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm, I work with Ria and Carmen on the content team at Hi Mama. So, we're pretty close and see each other every day, well, virtually anyway.
Yeah.
And they're always talking about, I've seen some of the earlier webinars when we just started and popping back on now. I'm just completely overwhelmed by this chat. It's like, they always talk about how
True.
it's such a great community and everyone's really, friendly and all that. And yeah, it's definitely true.
Before we dive in, Michael, I'm going to go on the next slide here because we want to hear, before we do, like Michael said, I get to see him virtually every day. I get to know a lot about Michael. I know a lot about what's going on in his life. But most importantly, I know a fair amount about this wee little one with the hiding apple here. But tell us a little bit about you and your life.
Yeah, so a bit about me. I live and work in Toronto at Hi Mama. That's my wife, Jen, and our daughter, Carrie, and us apple picking a few weeks ago. Carrie's 1 year old now, and we're actually in an interesting spot now because we're actually moving from in the city in our condo to a house in Oakville. If you're familiar with the Toronto area, it's a suburb of Toronto. And yeah, so during COVID-19 and all that, childcare obviously super important to me, and we've all of a sudden had to look at different childcare options. And before or when Carrie was born, we pretty much called our parents and said the news and all that, and then we immediately started calling the childcare centers, who they said call after Carrie's, like, your daughter's born, to get her on our wait list. So to go from that to like looking from scratch, it's really tied in nicely with this theme of branding and how you present your center, because I definitely found myself comparing options, and our needs are totally different now than they used to be before this new normal. But yeah, that's my personal life. Professionally, as I mentioned, I work at Hi Mama. Those of you who read our blog or get our weekly newsletter, or read our reports, I put a lot of that stuff together. So whether you've seen my name on something or just gotten something from Hi Mama, I have my hands in a lot of things. So yeah, I'm really excited to join on today's webinar and share some of whatever insights I have with all of you to help make your branding and presentation a bit better.
Very excited to have you, Michael. It's phenomenal to, like, I get to share this with Carmen weekly and Kaya occasionally when she's on. So it's excellent to be able to bring somebody else on who's also got a much larger background than I do at this point right now, but in the marketing area. So before we get into the nitty gritty of it all, just a couple of housekeeping things for you guys here today. So to get a certificate today, you need to stay for the whole session. We're doing something a little bit different. We're going to do a little quiz at the end. It's not long, guys. It's like 10 questions. Don't fret. Don't worry. We also want your feedback, though. With that is an area for you guys to get some good feedback in there. We'd really love to hear from you, see if there's areas that we can improve, things that you want us to keep doing. It's super important for us just to make sure we're building on the right places. So for you guys to get the certificates, you have to complete the quiz. It's not going to be posted until the end. And you're not going to get your certificates right away. We will be getting them out, but it will probably be about a week or so by the time we get them out to you. So please don't fret. They're not coming right away. Usually we have a 2-second process and it's there, but we just wanted to give you a reminder. I will remind you guys again here at the end of the session. What we're looking to do, Michael, I'm going to give it to you in a minute here, but ideally we're talking about branding. This is really big right now, and even Michael can attest this. Looking for childcare right now is a bit of a wild ride compared to what it used to be, especially when I was working. So we want you guys to be thinking about brand, thinking about how important it is, what it means, and how you guys can change and adapt during COVID. This is a huge piece as things change. And of course, they're changing daily. And every educator is very adaptable. So I find that it's an easy win. But on the same side, we want to give you the right tips and ideas. And with that said, Michael, I'm going to let you take it over from here. I'm going to be on the chat. So take it away.
Great. Thanks, Ria. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, so we're going to talk about branding today. It's a small word, but it's very loaded. And I think we all have we think that branding is this huge complex thing, and it can be complex, but there's certain elements of branding that are very easy to incorporate, and it's just kind of a different way of thinking about things. And yeah, let's just get into it, and hopefully you'll pull a few tips out of this to help with your own branding. So I thought we would start with something a little fun. This is a picture of me every night after Carrie goes to bed and I pass out. No, I'm just kidding. But this is just an image I found online of someone just as relaxed and lazy as possible. And I just want to start with a poll with these two brands right beside the picture. So we've got Nike and we've got Uber Eats. So if you had to pick one of these two brands that you would say better reflects this picture, which one would you choose? So I see a lot of Uber Eats, some Nike, which, okay. But yeah, overwhelmingly, it looks like Uber Eats is the winner. I'm just going to end it right now. Sorry if you haven't voted. But I'm not sure if you could still see it. But yeah, Uber Eats definitely took the top there. And they're just two different brands, two different, not just products, but just philosophies, approaches to things. Nike is a clothing manufacturer, but they also have an amazing running app. So you might think, wait, they're developing apps, or they're shoes, or are they clothes, or are they sports equipment? But really, they're all of it because they're selling a brand, living healthy, being active. So anything relating to that feels on brand for them. Uber Eats, on the other hand, obviously, it's kind of the complete opposite of that. It's you're at home, you just want the convenience of someone bringing you food. You don't even want to call or go pick it up yourself, or get out your credit card and swipe. So we all understand branding, right? But when it comes to incorporating it within our businesses, it does require a little more thought and being proactive. So we're going to get into lots of different ways to do that are very easy and you don't need a multi-million-dollar budget and team to develop. So again, here are some brands on the right that all stand for very different things that we're all familiar with. And as I was mentioning, it's really in everything. So when you think of brand, a lot of people at first think in terms of a logo or something very visual, but really it's everything you do. So it's your physical location. And an example I wanted to bring up is if you think of Starbucks, that's one of the best brands in the world in terms of consistency and representing itself. You could go to literally any country of the world. It doesn't matter if you're in Japan or Australia or Canada or Israel, wherever. If you go into a Starbucks, it's going to feel the same. Maybe little differences. They might have a mug there that says a different city based on where you are, but the drinks are going to taste the same. The look, the decor, furniture, it's all pretty similar and feels on brand. So it's really thinking about everything you do and how you do it, why you do it, that kind of thing. So yeah, as I was mentioning, reasons why your branding is important. When you have a strong brand and really have a good understanding of who you are, you're able to find families that'll be a really good fit with your center because you're projecting what your values are, and then people are seeing those values and thinking about if it relates to them. You'll also be able to get more staff who share similar values and philosophy, approach to things, because again, you're putting that out there and they're relating to it as well. And you'll also be able to establish your center within your community better. Again, it's all about people understand you better and why they would want to connect with you. And then you can go from there. So some things to consider as you embark on this journey of becoming a brand guru is one thing is your mission statement. So things like your mission, your vision, your values, you'll hear these words a lot, but it's really ultimately what you stand for in a short, concise way. And it's definitely not easy. This is probably the most deceptive part of the whole process, where you think, oh, it's just 3 sentences. That's so easy. But really trying to boil down why you do what you do is very difficult. And depending on who you ask, you might get different answers. So don't take this part lightly. It can be difficult, but it is one of the most, if not the most important part. So as an example, at Hi Mama, we have our core values, which are own positive change, be a good person, and work hard and win. We say those all the time. Every week, we actually have a meeting with our whole company where we have the Hulk, which is a little doll who one person gives it to a person who they think has best exemplified these 3 core values in the last week. And then every week it's passed on to another person. So people coming in the door, I actually grabbed these images off our careers page, but people know these values coming in. They can see if they align with their own values. As we make business decisions or commit to different projects or develop new product features, everything really, these come into play to help make those decisions. So it's super important. So some questions to ask when thinking about your mission statement. So who are we now? What do we do right now? What values do we project? What manner do we carry ourselves in? It's good to take stock of what you're currently doing. And it's also a good point to start thinking about the future and, how do we want to define ourselves moving forward? So maybe you're currently doing things that, you know what, now that I think about our main values, we should probably stop doing this thing. If you have deep roots in your community, how do you want to grow these roots? So what ways do you want to give back? And what direction do we want to take at this center? So let's say you're a home daycare today, but you want to grow into a multi-center, multi-location center. You probably want to have that reflected in your mission statement or values. And these were all tips that were taken from an episode of the preschool podcast. So we'll have those in our resources later if you want to check it out. And also very important, and I experienced this firsthand myself when looking for childcare, was thinking about differentiators. So, I was moving to a new city. I went to Google, searched childcare, Oakville, and I just see a huge list, and I don't know anything different about all of them. So what's going to make each one stand out from each other? So it could be something like you really embrace technology and you use an app, or maybe it's your learning philosophy, or maybe you serve a specific group of professionals. Like if you're the center that's really accommodating for people who work night shifts, and you do something like that. I don't know, but whatever makes you different is great to think about. Another exercise is what we would call buyer personas, but in a childcare setting, you might think of as parent personas. This is so helpful. I love having personas to think about, because when you think about a target customer or audience, you think of them as just audience. You lose all the personal connection from it because it's not a person, right? It's just a concept. When you come up with a persona, you're taking your target and you're turning it into a physical person and all of their dimensions. So you give them a name, you think about what their background is, their influences for deciding childcare, what challenges they're facing in their search, their goals, their aspirations, and how you can help, most importantly. So that was a lot of high-level concepts. So let's actually get specific about it, which I think might help if some people are a little confused at that part. So some parent examples, we just kind of quickly threw this together. These aren't comprehensive by any means, but let's say you have one that's CEO Susie, who's an entrepreneur who values best-in-class quality for her children. You might have Techie Tom, whose most important criteria is to see updates on his child on an app throughout the day, or daddy duo Dave and Matthew, looking for a center with a close-knit parent community. And all of your, you don't just have to have one persona. It's common to have, let's say, 3 or 4 for your business. And it just means that you might come up with different things to address the different needs, because not everyone's the same always, but obviously. But let's say if people usually fall into one of these 3 personality types, you're just better prepared to answer their questions, speak in a way that makes sense to them, and will get you on the same page. And in terms of what this actually looks like in the end, it really depends how you want to structure it. You can just Google buyer persona example. That's actually where I grabbed this one. But here's an example of working mom Wendy. This is an example for a healthcare app, a buyer persona that they would use. But here you put a picture of them so you can see them, what their key identifiers are, a bit about their background, goals, challenges, how you can help, their age range, family setup, and their role when making a decision about which software to sign up for. And you can come up with great ideas for this. Honestly, a lot of it is your gut. Just if you talk to all the parents coming in, you probably have a really good idea of this. Talking with your teachers who interact with the parents, maybe the way that they interact with them is a little different than the way you do. There's lots of ways, but it's important to just start thinking like this. So here's a few childcare specific brands that we work with, and how this can look a little different. So at the top left, you have Green Apple Kids. They have a few locations, and that apple element really plays into everything. So there's a picture of an apple. It's a place to learn and grow. It ties together. And we've got KinderCare there, which is a much larger center, and Atelier Kids, which is they're more of an arts-based and creative curriculum. So that plays out in their logo as well. And not to shamelessly plug Hi Mama, but in terms of a visual identity, this is kind of the same thing, but from a visual perspective, and what you may initially think branding is in terms of just how things look. We're not all designers, but it's never been easier to come up with a good visual identity, because there's so much available online in terms of templates and design tools that are meant for people who aren't designers. So at minimum, if you come up with just some colors that look well together, and you're just going to commit to using a logo or font, things like that, if you just say, we're using these from now on, and then use them in everything, it just does so much for your brand. That alone, just to make things feel like they're coming from the same place. A great tool for this is Canva. We actually use Canva on the marketing team ourselves, and they have so many templates there, thousands and thousands, and you just go in and customize the text and image, change the colors and the fonts, and just right there, it looks like it's coming from your brand, and really easy to come up with something great. Another thing, this is a big one for me as a writer as well, is your voice. So thinking about what tone you use, just to give extreme examples here, maybe you're very business and procedures, and you're just matter of fact, and that's perfectly fine. Maybe based on some of your personas that you made earlier, if you're catering for that CEO Susie who's just all business, give me the facts, I'm busy, that might be the tone you take. Or you might go the extreme opposite end and maybe you're a really fun brand. These are things to think about in terms of your voice. And again, using them everywhere. So it's not jarring if people get one email that's very friendly and then another one that's overly serious. You want to make it feel like even if multiple people are writing something, it all feels like it's coming from your center ultimately. I've said this part throughout this presentation so far, but really if you just take away one thing from here, it would be just to be consistent. Whatever you do, I mean, obviously if it's terrible, stop doing it, but if you've chosen colors and a tone and philosophy and you're happy with it, just stick to it. That's really the key. Again, going to that Starbucks example, in order for your brand to be successful and come across well, you just have to be consistent. So yeah, don't give up on it. Write it down if that's helpful. You can think of that as like a brand guidelines where you just write some notes about, or even a handbook if you want to think of it that way, just in terms of these are the colors we use, these are the fonts. You can look up examples online of brand guideline template and just start plugging away at that. So this one, unfortunately, it's hard to talk about anything now without also talking about COVID-19. But the reality is it affects everything. And especially with childcare, which I feel passionately about myself because I just went through this as well, is just needs are different. There's a lot of new questions that parents have and concerns. So this is a great opportunity to now think about your brand and how you project yourself, because it's really separating the great centers from the centers who aren't adapting with the times. So one thing that any parent pre-COVID or now is looking for is reassurance. They want to make sure that the safe health and safety precautions are being followed. And you can highlight this information in your handbook, your website, your printouts, your phone conversations, just to really put that information at the front, just that they're concerned about those things, you're concerned as well, and you're doing a lot of work to address all that stuff. Also, a picture is definitely worth 1,000 words. So use pictures to show how your center is implementing all of these changes that you've made, because it's very easy to say you're doing this stuff and it's very different to show it. This is also especially important for people who are considering enrolling, because when we were choosing a center, we're not allowed to actually go into it. So we definitely need visual evidence of what's going on if we're going to have any shot of being comfortable with sending our child somewhere. And of course, as with any photos you share online, just making sure that you have permission from the parents to use those photos, which is super important. It might be an opportunity to revise your motto or your slogan. So, parents' senses are heightened with the return of their children. So if you don't have a slogan already or are in the process of changing it, something about safety or communication or collaboration, I don't know, putting that in there might be helpful. Here you can see KinderCare did this on their website. So, it's not really a slogan, but it is a section on their website to say, hey, COVID is, we're setting it, or sorry, the slogan is at the top, setting a new standard. So yeah, just an example of how you're taking it so seriously that this is what you're really getting behind. Virtual tours is another important one. So again, since parents can't come into the center, you really need a good way to show it off to them in a way that they'll feel like they were there, which does mean being more proactive in terms, since we're not just showing up and you're walking around, thought about just how you're going to deliver it, what format it's going to take. Using my own personal example, this has been in the form of no tour. Some centers just didn't offer a tour at all. Some did a more of a presentation, like a slide deck with photos of what they've done. The most popular one was just a simple video call where they were on their phone talking to us and then walked us around the center, just sort of bringing the phone along, which I actually liked the best of all of the options that I went through. But a really amazing one that we saw was from Missy Neckel, who some of you might have seen on a previous webinar. I work really closely with her. She does a lot of writing for our blog, but she's a director at Victory Early Learning Academy. And I just want to show you about 15 seconds of the virtual tour her center put together, because it definitely blew me away. And it does a great job of a really thorough tour that they just recorded once and then they send to everyone. So if anything, they're saving time now because they're not spending all this time with individual in-person tours. Ria, are you able to show a bit of that?
Totally. Just before I do, if anyone's having trouble, like if it seems like it's freezing or you don't get any volume, not to fret, we are going to include it in the resources. So don't freak out or anything there. But I hope you all can have the chance to hear it. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Missy Neckel, and I'm the director of Victory Early Learning Academy. And for the sake of the video, I'm going to remove my mask, but just know that all of our staff wear our masks at all times while we're in the building with the children. So I want to show you what it's like to go through the building and see our program, our awesome program. We have infants 6 weeks old through 5 years old, and I'm going to take you on a walk and a journey through our building from the time you get here until the time you would leave. So we're going to come over here, and in the very beginning of the day when you drop off, if you
We'll just pop back onto the slides there, Michael.
Okay. Start. All right, thanks, Ria. So yeah, you could see there definitely would have been a significant upfront cost to that, to actually get that video company in to do that video. But if you think about the amount of time that she's saved now, that she just sends this 15-minute video or however long it is that walks you through all the rooms and answers all of your questions, and you see everything happening. It's a great way to that they show off their center, and also just think about what it's saying about their brand, how much they would invest in this video, and wow, if they put together this professional level of a video, imagine what they do with their childcare as well. You've all heard social media. People love to say social media, do social media, get on social media. And I'm going to say it too, because it's super important. Parents are online and connecting socially. I know the networks are changing all the time. Right now, Facebook is super popular with people looking for childcare. So if people are using a network to connect, it's a great opportunity for you to join the conversation and participate in discussions, whether you join local groups in your area and contribute that way. If you create your own page where you're showing photos and videos from your center or sharing tips or information, these are all ways for you to connect with people online. And again, it's important to understand what your voice is and what your philosophies are. Now you might not want to chime in on political things or share your personal opinion on things, but rather, if it seems relevant to you, if someone's asking about sleep training or healthy meal options or activities to do, these are great ways for you to connect with them. You don't even have to come up with this content yourself. It could be maybe you get activities from a website online and you just say, it's Activity Monday and Movement Monday, and you share all your physical activities that day, and or you share news items. Just ways for you to join the conversation, connect with people, and get your name out there, and show that you care is another positive. Another way for your brand to reflect the times could be creatively incorporating health and safety into your lesson plans. So designing activities around why it's important to wash your hands, or how to put on a mask properly, why masks are important, explaining concepts of germs and staying safe, social distancing, things like that. And then sharing that information with parents to show, look, we're in this together, and we're not ignoring things, and in fact we're helping to make the children more aware of what's going on. It's also a good opportunity for you to revise your parent handbook a bit. Luckily, most of you or all of you have already have some sort of COVID-19 protocols in there. If not, I would definitely recommend doing that. And also, just share, maybe if in the past you've only had a little section on cleaning, maybe you expand that section a bit, just to show, what you're doing about it. Because I'd imagine most parents, it's top of mind. I know it is for me. So some resources for you. Again, we're going to share all these after, because these are all links for you to check out. So everything we've talked about so far. We also have a couple articles on the Hi Mama blog that go into these topics in more detail. So if you saw something in here that you want to learn more about, the Branding 101 childcare for childcare providers article, I wrote that one, I believe, and that's a good one to give you specific tools, like the tools I mentioned here, like Canva. I've got one in there that'll help you choose a color palette, so colors that go well together, or how to choose a font. That's a great resource for that. Adapting your center's brand during COVID-19. That one goes over a lot of the same stuff I just did in this last section. Definitely check out these 2 podcast episodes that are about rebranding and recovering from COVID. Those are super helpful. You can watch Missy's full video tour. I'm sure she'd love to hear that the webinar fans are watching that. And some of the childcare option examples that I mentioned, so KinderCare, Atelier Kids, and Green Apple Kids, are all there for you to check out. So I definitely recommend that you give those a shot. And I believe now we're on to questions, if there are any.
There's a couple of questions. Awesome content, by the way, Michael. It's been awesome listening to you. And some of these things, of course, I get the pleasure of working with and having my hands in every day on here at Hi Mama. So Carla wanted to ask, and this is going back to the personas. Her question was, how do you find the parents needed to help create the parent personas if you're very small? So looking to grow, and expand, and you're wanting to expand. I guess more the question would be, should parents maybe be involved if you're looking at creating a larger center? If it is such a small center, I'm going to probably assume that it's a fairly small maybe area. Do you have any maybe tips around building it out and expanding?
Yeah, and thank you for asking that, because I realized I forgot a very important part of the process there that could be very helpful, which are interviews. That's a huge way to understand. We're probably all familiar with focus groups. I don't know if you've ever participated in one of those, but those are, if you think of it like a little mini focus group session, where if you know, yes, this, Susie over here, I love Susie. I want more of Susie's at my center in the future, and I want to cater to Susie. And you know that specific person. It's a great opportunity to sit down with them and ask them these questions. You might be able to fill in a lot of the information yourself if you know them personally, like if you know their family setup and background, education, things like their profession, things like that. But yeah, it's a great opportunity to ask them really pointed questions about what are your goals. Obviously, don't just at drop off, just kind of be like, so what are your goals? You want to let them into the process and just be fully transparent and say, hey, I want to understand our parents better and learn some more about you. You can also do this through an online survey. If you think maybe people are a little shy or something like that, you could even just do it as a survey that you send to them online using SurveyMonkey or Google Forms or anything pretty simple like that. You can even just send an email, ask them to reply. But yeah, definitely talk to those people individually and try to get those insights there.
Awesome. So keeping on with the personas, would this be something that maybe, like, let's say you're looking at an average size of a center or anything like that, would it be something you'd want your teachers involved in? Like, who would potentially be the best person, as it were, to be looking at creating these personas? Should it be like a joint effort from management and teachers? Maybe what's your thoughts on there?
Yeah, I think honestly, the more people you can get involved, the better. It's a bit of a balance because you're going to get very strong opinions where a teacher might feel there just has to be someone who's overseeing this process and taking the feedback from everyone and saying, okay, these are the commonalities between all of these. These ones feel like they're very specific for two people, but aren't representative of everyone. Or maybe that's what we have now, but thinking about our brand in the future, we would, we know that these aspects aren't good for us and these ones are, so we're going to focus on these. That's helpful. But yeah, honestly, the more input you can have, the better. I know that at Hi Mama, when we talk about personas, it's so helpful to get, on the marketing side, we interact with our audience through things like the webinar. We'll get email, like comments on our blog, on social, but those are very different than people on the support team who are talking with people who just signed up with Hi Mama, for instance, versus our sales team who they know what the concerns of people are. They have different insights. But in having those conversations, when we hear the same things over and over again, then we're pretty confident in, okay, this is one persona we're pretty confident in, and we feel like we know. So long answer summed up. Talking to different people and in as many different roles and functions as you can, I think will only help you.
Awesome. Last question, Michael, before we dive in, any last thoughts or anything, but when it comes to, I know some teachers may feel like they're especially out of the loop, not being in, like, let's say the front end office or anything like that. And sitting in a teacher's perspective and sitting in a marketing perspective, I definitely know your teachers are probably the best marketing tool that you do have out there. But how can maybe teachers turn around and relate to marketing and marketing their center and themselves when it comes to brand and those sorts of things?
Yeah, so I think that the best, so it's kind of a frustrating answer, I'm sure, for a teacher who's watching now, because a lot of it really has to do with leadership. Because if you're going to be, if you want a center for your brand, it's pretty helpful if the person who's in charge of you're going to need the buy-in there, right? And they're going to have to set the tone and the example and make sure things are consistent everywhere. And then that kind of trickles to everything else. So also the teachers to reflect that. That being said, in terms of how teachers individually contribute to this, it's really about being consistent and understanding the tone and style and things like that. So for instance, if a center's brand, part of that is communication is 100%. That's such a focus for us. We're the communication center. You're going to know everything that's going on. But then if you're a teacher and you don't send any updates throughout the day, or you send home a daily sheet that looks like it was just kind of filled out at the end with no details, that's not really contributing to that image. So understanding what your center is trying to do and exemplifying that yourself. If the center says, play is the most important thing to us, we're all about play and having fun and all of that, try to have fun yourself also. And I know it could be hard with such a busy job. It's easy for me to say sitting over here, just have fun. But the more that you can exemplify those yourself, that's how you would contribute. I hope that answers the question.
Totally. And I think as well, I'm just seeing in the chat here, Jennifer is pointed out management should consider the teacher's input as well. Totally. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that sums out exactly what you mean. If you come up with something as a management team, but you're not consulting on your teachers about what that brand should feel like and that voice and tying it back to being consistent, then it's just a broken wheel, right? So it's more of leadership to take the effort into making sure everybody's across the same board. So
and on that note as well, the more you, just in terms of leadership, things I've noticed in great leaders or read about is the more you can get people involved in the creation of what they're doing, the more they're going to feel involved and want to do it. So definitely, especially the teachers who are the front line, interacting with parents and the children, definitely getting them involved in the process, and that's super important for it all to work.
Agree. Michael, it's been absolutely phenomenal having you on today, hearing some more of your insights. Do you want to leave us with any positive thoughts, anything at the end here, just to wrap everything up?
Sure. I kept saying this throughout, but I hope that there's always a balance when I'm talking about branding, because I work in marketing and these are all concepts that I think about every day. But I just hope that it didn't seem too overwhelming. It really doesn't have to be, and it's just more than coming up with empty words on a page or a really detailed guide that you write and then completely forget about. Just thinking about, how do I project myself? How am I going to be consistent with the way that I write or I interact with people, and thinking about yourself from how other people see you and you connect. It's just going to make a big difference. Even if you do two things or one thing, anything you do, thinking like this will help with your image. So I don't know if that is a nicely summed up closing thought, but yeah, I just hope you took something away out of this, even if it's just one or two small things.
Just so you know, you've been getting a lot of love in the chat. Everyone has been telling, like, if you do scroll back and see, everyone's been very, very thoughtful and in saying how much they've enjoyed this. So do take a minute or two to do that, Michael, while we jump into some shout outs. I just have a couple.
Will do.
Wanda. Hi, Wanda. I see you there. She was saying that you guys are doing some virtual tours. It's worked out great with some college students. Hey, Wanda, that's like pro tip right there. A little extra fun as well. And then I saw Charlotte. She was saying once you get a feel for what is important to the parents, you can cater the daily reports and highlights to their preferences. They love it. I totally agree. You're getting more love in the chat. I see your Craig. Thank you so much, Michael. Good stuff. It's coming through. All right, everybody, just to recap, hopefully I recap as nicely as Michael has gone through all the content. Brands everywhere. Here at Hi Mama, we know, and that's part and parcel of the game for us. And take some time to build out some of those family personas. It's actually a lot of fun. I know here when we get together to do some buyer personas at Hi Mama, we make a great time of it actually. And then you actually think a little bit more about the people who you potentially bringing on family-wise or working or, those sorts of things. Build a strong brand, be consistent, and that's across the board. Your logo, your fonts, your colors, the voice is a big thing, and I think that's where your teachers definitely play part and parcel with it. And then, of course, adapt, everybody. COVID-19 ain't going away anytime soon, sadly. We hope it does leave us quicker. But take time to adapt to that, and those virtual tours, as Michael told us about his, it's something that's sadly a part of the future for now. It could be a permanent piece as well. And keeping safe at the same time. We want everyone safe. We want everybody to stay, healthy and happy at the same time. So today, everybody, I'm just here posting in the blue sticky bar across the top is the quiz. So you do need to get 7 out of 10. I do promise you guys will get 7 out of 10 or higher. You'll probably all get 10 out of 10. So not to fret, okay? It's going to take us about a week to get some certificates out, so please just be patient. But tomorrow, you guys will definitely get the recording. You're going to get the show notes. Don't worry there. Sadly, we're not going to be doing any additional certificates. So if you do get to rewatch it, or if you're doing it now and you want to rewatch it later, fantastic. But at the end of the day, quiz is the way you're getting their certificate today. So please, it's there. You want to go ahead and do it now, please do. Next week, we're back. We're bringing Corey back, everybody. I'm super excited to have her on. Oh man, I don't know if you remember, Michael, we had her on several weeks, maybe the beginning episodes, actually. I feel like Corey was very much in the beginning there. Mm-hmm. And I know Miss Carmen is here. I don't know if she wants to, if there's anything I'm missing. Look, she made it.
I did make it. She's on the chat here.
Is there anything we need to add here, Carmen? I know we're going to keep the sticky tab up for a little bit longer for everybody to have a chance to do the quiz and get everything there.
Nothing much to add. I think you guys did a phenomenal job, and good luck on the quiz, everyone. We'll be getting the results in and sending out the certificates once we look over them.
Excellent. We'll leave it open for you guys so that you can have a chance to do so. It's in the top bar on the chat there. It's in that blue bar. Everybody just click on it, go in. Feedback as well. Feedback, people. We'd like to hear more from you. We'd love to be able to get some, any updates, things like that. Just any feedback, in fact. I'd love to see it. Carmen's also just posted it within the chat itself. So it's at the sticky bar. Carmen just posted in there. Take some time. We're going to leave everything open, but I also don't want to leave anybody hanging on here. Michael, thank you for everything today. It's been wonderful having you on. Hearing about your daughter, I love her. Her facial reactions, everyone, are the most hilarious facial reactions I've ever seen. Next to my niece, her and Carrie would be so funny together. It'd be ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ria. Thanks, everyone. I'm definitely, if I ever need a confidence boost again, I'll join a webinar and then look through these comments.
And look at all the chat. Exactly. The chat is what I honestly, at the end of the day, is seeing everybody here in the chat. It makes me feel so amazing when I leave here. So everyone, take some time, do the quiz. I cannot wait to see, any feedback, like I said, and I hope everyone stays safe, stays healthy. We'll see you next Thursday. Like I said, bringing Corey back. Be excited to have her on, talking a bit about the future of childcare with her. So very exciting, everybody. See you next time. Take care. All righty.